Hello again everyone. In today's Biblical Cities of the Holy Land video, we will take a look at the city of Caesarea Maritima. The city of Caesarea Maritima is located on the northwestern coast of Israel on the plain of Sharon. Prior to the 4th century BC, no major settlement was located on the site. However, in the 4th century BC, a watchtower or lighthouse with an anchorage was built on the location, which became known as Strato's Tower, in honor of an earlier Phoenician king of Zidon of the same name, who had assisted the Persians by providing them with ships during the famous Persian invasion of Greece in the early part of the 5th century BC. The land was then granted to Zidon by the Persians in thanks for their assistance. The settlement is first mentioned in the historical record by an Egyptian official named Zenon, who records that he had stopped at the settlement in 259 BC. By 30 BC, the site was under Roman control and was given to Herod the Great by the Roman Emperor Augustus. Herod the Great began to build an entirely new 165-acre Roman city and man-made harbour on the land. According to Josephus, this entire project was finished in just 12 years between 22 to 12 BC. Herod named the city Caesarea in honour of Caesar Augustus. He also built a temple to Augustus, honouring the emperor, which could be seen by all ships as they entered the harbour. The city is commonly known today as Caesarea Maritima, or the City of Caesar by the Sea. The New Testament refers to the city as Caesarea. The building of an entirely new city and harbour was important to Herod's plans for several reasons. One being that the coast of Israel lacked a large natural harbour, and so he was required to build one to take advantage of the busy shipping routes that passed by the location. Furthermore, it would act as a vital safe haven for passing ships during times of storm. Secondly, the location was also situated by the international highway known as the Via Maris, and so the construction of a city on this route would facilitate increased income and trade from passing caravans that travelled along this land route. Thirdly, the fertility of the plain of Sharon could be better exploited by the presence of a new city in the region, as crops could be much easier exported as a result of having a new city and port nearby. The construction of the city would also provide employment and win favour with Rome. The port and city became one of the largest and busiest in the Mediterranean, which proved the wisdom of Herod the Great's choice to build there. Upon the death of Herod the Great in about 4 BC, the city fell under the control of Herod's son, Archelaus, until 6 AD. However, due to Archelaus' incompetence, his kingdom, including the city and port of Caesarea, were taken from him by Augustus, and the city and the province fell under direct Roman control. This resulted in the city becoming the Roman capital of the province for 6 centuries. It was here that both Roman legions and Roman procurators were stationed. The evidence for this Roman military and political presence within the city can be seen very clearly in the book of Acts. It was in Caesarea that Peter led to the Lord and then baptized the Roman centurion Cornelius and his family, which is found in Acts chapter 10 to 11. It was also in this city that Paul was imprisoned and put on trial before the Roman procurators, Felix, Festus, and also King Herod Agrippa II in Acts chapters 23 to 26, before he was sent to Rome to stand trial before the Emperor Nero. Even though the city was very clearly Roman in both construction and culture, a large Jewish population was present within the city. In fact, in Acts chapter 8 verse 40, Philip the Evangelist, who was a Jew, moved to the city and was still living there with his daughters when Paul landed at the port on his way to Jerusalem in Acts chapter 21 verse 8. However, the differences between Jewish and Roman religions and cultures resulted in frequent tensions and outbreaks of civil disorder within the city. These religious and cultural tensions erupted into outright violence in 66 AD, and this riot at Caesarea was the catalyst for what became known as the Great Jewish Revolt, which ultimately resulted in the destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, the deaths of millions of Jews by the end of 70 AD. Both Vespasian and Titus, along with their legions, also stayed at the city during the years of the revolt, and after the revolt was suppressed, the city became a Roman colony. The city continued to prosper for many centuries after the 1st century AD, under Byzantine, Crusader and Muslim control. The ancient city began to be excavated in 1959, and which has continued to this very day. Since the beginning of excavations at the site, many different discoveries have been unearthed, some of the most remarkable being the Roman theatre, which was able to facilitate an audience of about 4,000 people, and in fact, after it was excavated and restored, is being used for modern concerts to this day. It was also within this very structure that the famous Pilate inscription was discovered, which artifact I have made an earlier video on, which link will be above. It was apparently in this very theatre that King Herod Agrippa I was judged by God for his pride, according to Acts chapter 12 verses 19 to 23. The famous man-made harbour that was built by Herod the Great, which utilised a type of concrete which could set underwater, began to collapse at the latter end of the 1st century AD and is now mostly underwater. A palace for the Roman procurators is also evident at the city, and is presumably where Paul was put on trial before Felix and Festus while imprisoned at the city. Just outside the city to the north is a Roman aqueduct, which was built in the 1st to 2nd centuries AD, that brought water from Mount Carmel, which is located 7 miles to the north, so as to provide fresh and clean drinking water for the city. The site also contains the original Roman circus that was built by Herod the Great, and many other fascinating post-1st century artifacts too. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe for more new videos every Friday.